welcome back to my channel, Realigned Mindset. I'm Arisha. I will be your host, walking you through all of your mindset shifts that need to happen so that you can become your best, successful, beautiful, fully grown self. And today we will be talking about the connection between mindset and success, because this connection is so underspoken about, but so important for you to realize the places that you're holding yourself back from success, opportunities, connections, relationships that are going to help you grow and build the life that you absolutely dream of and desire every single day. Mindset is the thing that stops people from thinking that they're capable of doing more in their lives. Mindset is the thing that stops people from building success on their own, in their own back garden, whilst doing other things. Mindset is the thing that holds people back from absolutely everything. And I feel like not enough people talk about how mindset is the key to change. It's not running every single day, doing your 10,000 steps. It's not healthy meals and healthy smoothies. It's your mindset. It's the thing that shifts you from being who you are today and becoming the person that you know that you can be, but haven't been able to get there just yet. So that is what I'm going to talk about today, and I have got some very key points, so please stick around, and if you've got any comments, please put them below. We are going to get started. The first thing that I need to point out is that in order to change, you need to have a growth mindset. Having a fixed mindset where you believe that all of your knowledge is the right knowledge and you can't learn anything else, and everything that you currently know is all that you will ever need to succeed. All of this is incorrect. Our mindset is determined by our belief systems and our values, which are created when we're between the ages of 8 and 13. When you are that person, when somebody else has full control of your life, you set up certain beliefs and certain boundaries that keep you safe and keep you going throughout your life. But when you become an adult and you realize that you want something different, you want something new, you want to try something out because of what you've been taught so far isn't working for you, you need to build a growth mindset in order to change your mind about your life, your belief systems, and your values that will help you create your new life. It is your current belief systems that are holding you back from building real success in your life. And I know this because I have been through these steps myself, and I have taken multiple coaching clients through these exact steps that I'm teaching you. And I wanted to put this all out there because more people need to know how to become successful without all of the struggle, without all of this pain, and you do not need to do it alone. I want to tell you about how your mindset directly impacts your career. When we think about our career, we think that it's all up to somebody else. Somebody else is in charge of how much money we can make, how many promotions we can get, whether we get our bonuses or not, generally how successful we can be. This is not true. I have personally known so many people when I was working in the corporate coaching world who heavily relied on other people to determine their success, their leadership roles, their pay grades, all of the things, and that is just not true. If you think about the amount of companies that you could apply for in any role, and then think about how different their pay systems are, how different their job titles are, how different their hierarchical structure is, you will soon realize that this is the one way that you can shift your career into another. So when you think about how successful you can be, I want you to start believing that there are multiple ways that you can work, especially when you think about post-COVID working. After COVID, there was such an insurgence of people working from home, people working in an office 2 days a week, people working from full-time to part-time. When we start to think about the changes that we want to make, it really helps you if you build an abundant mindset. And by this, I don't mean to be like woo-woo, I don't mean to be encouraging like a spiritual belief, but I want you to start thinking, how many options are there out there for my career? Because when people are looking for a new job, or when people are looking to change careers, or when people are complaining constantly about their pay, about lack of holiday, about how unsupported they feel at work, that is due to you being in a place that doesn't support your belief systems, that doesn't support who you want to become and show up as in your career. People take on these complaints like they're a whole new personality. And I want people to avoid that part of their career and realize that if you are unhappy, there are other ways of making money and doing exactly the same job, but for somebody else. There are so many people who will not move jobs, will not think about applying for other jobs because they believe that age-old belief that there are not enough jobs for the amount of people there are, which is such a lie. This belief system has held people in jobs for 20 plus years. And I want you to know that the second that you have an issue at work or work has an issue with you, they will start ticking down time until they can get rid of you. And that means there are more people out there that are looking for your specific role that they are able to hire. And the same vice versa. Your work is looking for people to replace you. People are looking for jobs to fill other roles, and it works symbiotically almost. You look for jobs, other people are looking to hire people for that role. So you have to believe that there are people looking for you or your skill set or at your level, because that will help you understand that there are more opportunities out there for you. And it's not just this one company that you have to work for, or this one way that you have to work, or this one belief system that your 9 to 5 is going to build your entire life for you. That's not the way people become successful. That's not the way that people breathe dreams into their life. That is how people stay exactly how they are and live on autopilot. And I cannot tell you the amount of shifts that I've encouraged just by building abundant mindsets into people, because that is how people see and feel and understand that there are multiple options for doing exactly what they wanted to do. Once you realize that there are multiple opportunities to do exactly what you wanted to do, you start seeing them. They start coming true. You start meeting people who've done exactly the thing that you want. I'll give you an example. I did a glass blowing class with my friends at the weekend, which was phenomenal. And on the way back, on the drive back, one of my friends is going back from maternity leave. She's had her 2 babies and she wants to go back into the workforce, but she doesn't want to go back into her old job. Now, people often talk to me and go, I don't know how you built your successful business. All of it must have been really hard. I could never do it myself because I have kids, I have a mortgage, I have bills, I have all of these things that are stopping me. I need something steady. And that is not true. I had no stability when I quit my 9 to 5, when I quit my corporate job. I had nothing. I was winging it. But what I did have was a deep sense of need to change. And I knew that that change could only come from me. And that change has to happen within you. We were discussing how many different types of options. So she's a teacher and she could teach in multiple different ways. She could tutor, she could do online courses, she could run classes for herself. All of the different ways that she had, she didn't realize until she had a conversation with somebody with an abundant mindset. Because people can get stuck in a rut. People can build this belief system when they don't have other people who live differently than you, who think differently than you, who have built a different life from the one that you are living. So I highly recommend you feeling into your abundant mindset. We're saying, like, if I don't have enough money, is that true? Is there another way that I could make money? Is there another way that I could think about money? If I feel like I am undervalued in my job, why is that so? What am I not doing to prove my value so that other people are undervaluing me? What am I doing the exact same way in order to keep my situation exactly the same? Because at the end of the day, it takes you to make a change. You have to show up differently. You have to be asking different questions. You have to be complaining less, speaking more positively about your skill set, understanding what you are valued as and your worth within your life. So I want you to start thinking about more opportunities that are out there, and you may not see them in your current everyday. So I want you to go and find them in different places. Maybe join different groups of conversation, maybe join a book club, maybe speak to more people at the gym, maybe speak to people that you haven't spoken to in months because you don't have the space or the time to currently speak to them, because they might have a completely different perspective which will open your mind up into understanding there are various ways to live your every single day. Now I want to touch really quickly on how your brain is malleable to change, and you have to build that change within your brain. That is why habits are so key to success. Because when you are living your 9 to 5, you are constantly doing the same thing each and every single day. You are living on autopilot, and you know how I know this is because I was doing exactly the same thing. I was taking the same route to work, I was taking the same trains to work, I was getting in at the same time, I was buying the coffee from the same place, I was buying my lunch from the same place, I was speaking to the same people. I was on autopilot and I didn't even know it. What changed was one day I realized this has to be the worst part of my life. Because if I'm not excited to go to work, or if I'm not happy with the people that I'm working with, whom I spend most of my life with, then that isn't the way that I want to live. I must have missed a step. I must be missing the joke, because this cannot be all there is to life. So I want you to understand that your habits are what are keeping you in your everyday autopilot life. There are so many different habits that you can choose to pick up right here, right now, so that your brain hears and sees and thinks differently to the way it is currently thinking. And the one way that I did this for well, actually there are several ways, but I think the most important way that I think for people to start doing this is to start picking up different types of books. I'm an avid reader. I run my own book club. I love to read constantly. I listen to books in the car, I listen to books when I'm commuting. I will always have a book on me, because that is the way that, one, I think differently, but two, I also see different people's perspectives. I needed to hear what they were saying, what made them successful, what was the change that they made to build the habits that they need today. And I can't remember her name, but there's a CEO that I follow, and she talks a lot of business on social media. She's all about people building their own businesses and all about people working within the corporate world in the best way that they can. And one of the things she said was, none of us like waking up at 5:45. None of us want to wake up at 5:45. That's not a want we have, but we do it every single day because we know that it greatly impacts our day. It greatly impacts the way that we show up and how we're capable of showing up for other people. So I want you to start thinking about your habits, not as things that you want to do or not as things that you like to do, but as things that you have to do to build that version of yourself that you are trying to become. And this is for everything. This is if you want to become fitter and healthier. This is if you want to become better with your money or richer. This is if you want to build a better relationship and become a better partner. This is for absolutely every single part of your life. You have to understand that your brain can change, and the only way that you can do that is to start building habits that help encourage your brain to think like the person that you're trying to become. And self-help books and psychological books are one of the key ways that you can start doing that. Podcasts are another way that you can start doing that. Joining school groups or Facebook groups or online communities where you are virtually surrounded by other people who are trying to become better as well. It helps encourage you to have those different types of conversations, think those different types of ways into building your dream life. So I would highly encourage you to make new friends, start reading new books, and really hone in on that version that you're trying to become. If you are sitting at your desk in your 9 to 5 and you are complaining about the exact same things you complained about the day before, the week before, the month before, you have created a habit of negativity for yourself. And you are the only person that can get yourself out of that. And the one way that you can do that is by making friends with people who no longer complain about those things because they decided to make a change. And I am one of those people. So if you want to have a conversation with me, just message me. The next thing that I want to talk about is of how important it is to have a strong mindset over talent. The main difference between having a fixed mindset and a growth mindset is that the fixed mindset people believe that only the talented people are skilled at musicians and artists and chefs and CEOs. Fixed mindset people believe that those skills are inherent. Growth mindset people, and the majority of the people, understand that to become a skilled worker, a talented employee, a talented business owner, a talented artist, you have to put in the work. Nobody wakes up and is Van Gogh. Nobody wakes up and is Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran was busking at the beginning of his career, honing in on his talent, singing all day, every day in front of random people to hone in on his talent. There is a very well psychological rule that says, I don't know if it's psychological or if it's a social science thing, but basically it states that if you can put in 10,000 hours of work into one skill, the example was mostly about playing the piano or playing a musical instrument, but if you can put in 10,000 hours of work, then you will become the most talented person in that area. Now 10,000 hours is from, I think it's from the age of 10 to the age of 18, an hour a day. So if you think about yourself and you think about how you can become a skilled at whatever you're trying to do, say if you're trying to create better content, say you're trying to become the best CEO, say you're trying to become a better mum, reading and building your knowledge in those areas takes work, it takes effort, and it takes time away from the current life you're leading, which I know for a lot of people is tough. but I want you to start thinking about your time differently. In order to be successful, it has to have a block of your day every single day, because the day that you don't do it is the day that you drop this brand new habit and you have let your fears and your complaints and your old self win. The day that you don't show up as your best self is a day that you've lost success. You've lost your momentum. You've lost the building up of that habit. There are so many times where I have wanted to lose weight, or I have wanted to get into investing, or I have wanted to become a better version of myself. And it just takes that one thought of, or I can do it tomorrow, or I don't feel really good about myself today, so I'm going to wait till next week, or I'm not going to take this opportunity because later on down the line, I'll be better, I'll be richer, I'll be stronger, whatever it is. And that is the one mindset that keeps you exactly the same. And I want you to understand that those thought processes of I can't, I shouldn't, I'm not clever enough, I'm not skilled enough, only comes from fear. Those thoughts only come from you, yourself, who you are today, your subconscious, trying to keep you exactly as you are in the way that you are now, because you are very comfortable being this person. Even if you don't feel happy, even if you feel very anxious, your brain, your subconscious brain is very happy keeping you exactly as you are, where you are. So I want you to start changing that. So in order to change who you are and become that version of yourself that is the best, that you love being, that you can't wake up to show up as, that person takes an hour's work a day. Now, we all get a lunch break, we all get an hour before we go to bed, we all have an hour before we wake up in the morning. Like, whatever hour you choose, it doesn't matter. You don't need to become a 5 a.m. girly, you don't need to be going to the gym at 9 at night. You can pick the hour, but as long as you don't let that hour go, whether it's reading, whether it's honing your camera skills or your editing skills or your speaking in public skills, whatever it is, I want you to cherish that hour like your life depends on it, like your success depends on it, because it does. I'm going to hone in on talking about habits. The success formula is mindset, habits, and consistency. That is why these three things are the most popular things to be talked about on social media about mindset, because those three things are the things that are going to change the way that you do absolutely everything. If you think about your day, the way that you woke up today, the way you brushed your teeth, what you ate, who you spoke to, how you showed up, I can guarantee they are the exact same way that you showed up yesterday. Whether you were doing completely different things or not, you still brushed your teeth the same way, you still ate the same foods, and you still spoke to the same people. That is a given, and that has to change in order for you to become and build and develop that new person. So if I take a personal story, last year I had 2 cysts that needed to be operated on urgently. So I went to the doctors at 9 in the morning, I was in the hospital at 1 in the afternoon, and I was in surgery at 8 in the evening. I cannot tell you how that 24 hours changed my entire year. I was in recovery for 3 months after that, taking really strong pain medication, which I wasn't very comfortable taking. I didn't like it. It made me really sleepy, it made me really drowsy, and it made me really miserable. Barely had a train of thought that wasn't miserable whilst I was in recovery. And it took me the rest of the year to build back my confidence in walking and sitting, my confidence in just being who I am and choosing where I'm going. Because once you've spent a lot of time not doing those things, your brain suddenly thinks, oh, I don't know if I'm doing the right things. Even if it's driving a car that you've had for 10 years, even if it's getting on the same train that you used to get every single day into London, your brain thinks this is scary, this is different, this is wrong, I don't want to do it. Because your body and your mind get so quickly used to living the way that you've been living for the past 90 days. And to change that and to shift that into a way that you feel really proud of yourself, that you really want to dream that you could be, you have to show up differently and you have to build those habits. And if you know the habits of your success, say you want to start building a business, say you want to become a content creator, creating amazing content doesn't happen overnight. Creating content isn't something that you wake up and you're amazing at. It takes hours and hours and hours of research, of trying things out, of editing differently, learning different apps to use, learning different editing tools to use. It takes so many hours that you cannot fathom. And on top of that, the world is changing around you. The way people see content is ever changing. So you have to keep up with the times as well. So when you start to think that you want to change your life, you have to understand that there are habits you need to ingrain into your every single day to build that consistency. Now, habits don't happen overnight. They happen through doing one thing consistently for 90 days. Your brain takes 90 days to build new neural pathways so that your brain thinks that that is your new norm. It takes 90 days to build that connection up. 90 days of you doing the same thing every single day, because your brain is so capable of creating new neural pathways for you to think down. So that if you start thinking, today you're not a 10,000 step a day girly, but tomorrow you start doing 10,000 steps a day, within those 90 days, you will become that person that craves, that knows. Your physical body as well as your mental body will know that you haven't done your 10,000 steps, and you know that you'll need to do it because it's ingrained in you now. You've seen the results, you've seen the positive effects it's had on your life, you've seen the changes it's made to you physically and mentally. But it takes 90 days to build that habit in your brain. I know a lot of people say it's 21, I know a lot of people do a lot of 30-day challenges, but it takes 90 days to build a successful habit within your mind, and for you to see the positive change that those habits can happen. Now, as a mindset coach, I get people who want to do absolutely everything with their lives. They come in with, I want to be a better mum, I want to go on more holidays, I want to be better with my money, I want to be better friends, I want to be the best business owner I can be. And I'm like, that is all amazing. But if you want to be all of these things, do you know what all of these things will require you to do? And more often than not, people say, yeah, sure, I just need to show up and change. And yes, that's correct. You need to show up and you need to change. But what do you need to change? And that change is key for your success. So if you want to be a better runner, day one is going to be the hardest day, because you have to do everything differently. You have to get your outfit right, you have to get the right shoes, you have to get the right sports bra, you have to get the right water bottle, the right electrolytes, all of these things. But you don't need those things on day one. You can just start and figure it out along the way. A lot of the time people think they can't start habits because they don't have the equipment, they don't have the right support system, they don't have the right space to do things. In reality, it just takes you moving a few things around in your everyday for you to figure out. If I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, usually I'll wake up at 6:30 and go for half an hour run. It usually takes you just asking yourself, well, where can I fit this into my day to build this habit? Habits take a lot of work, they take a lot of effort, and they take a lot of mind energy for you to do them, especially in the beginning. Once you get used to doing them, once you build that memory muscle, once you build that physical understanding of, actually, I need to do this for my greater benefit, that's when you will have built a brand new habit for success for yourself. Once you do these things consistently, you will become that type of person. And it's that level of the compound effect of building on a habit constantly. So once you've built your first positive, successful habit, whether it's reading, whether it's researching, whether it's speaking to new people every day, whatever it is, building that habit for 90 days compounds into your first habit, and then you build on top of that a brand new habit. So we are constantly growing and building new habits on top of each other. That compound effect will slowly turn into you becoming and showing up as a completely different person. So these habits that we're building, these success habits, have to compound over time in order for you to build success. The first thing is always research. It's always figuring out what to do. The second thing is showing up as that person. What do you have to do to show up as the best version of yourself? And then 3, how do you show up as the expert? How do you show up as the most genuine version who knows all that she needs to know and shows up in her full worth, in her full value, with these belief systems that support and protect her current lifestyle? So it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes that compounding effect of you building on top of the habits that you've built constantly to become the best version of yourself. So if you talk to any successful person, they will tell you very clearly what habits made them successful. And some of them seem ridiculous. Some of them are teeny tiny. Some of them are like, I go to bed at the same time every day. I make my bed first thing in the morning. I have a smoothie for breakfast every day, like whatever their habit is, but they will have a set of habits that they have built that makes them successful. And I want you to do the same. So think about what your end goal is. Think about that version of yourself that is successful, and think about the habits that they had to build in order to become successful. If you don't know, or if you don't have a clue where to begin, I want to start asking people. There is not a content creator out there that won't answer questions. There aren't people that I know that I've connected with that wouldn't be happy to tell you how they wake up, their morning routine, their night routine, their workout routine, whatever it is you're interested in. There isn't a single content creator out there that won't show you how they do it, because it's only the successful people, the people that have built their habits, the people that understand what it takes to build that habit, that will be happy to tell you how they did it. And it takes time, it takes effort, and successful people want people to be successful. This is why I'm doing this on my channel, because I want everybody to be successful. I want everybody to show up as exactly who they want to be. The next thing I want to discuss with you is the psychology of high achievers. It sounds counterintuitive when you hear it, and it goes along with building habits consistently and creating that compound effect of your positive habits. It is delayed gratification. Building a business, becoming a content creator, being a successful CEO, having the fittest body in the world, it does not happen overnight, as I have said, but it also doesn't happen with a lot of wins. So you have to build those wins within you. It is why every program that you sign up to, every challenge you require, you have weekly updates or you have weekly reflections, because it is so hard to see the growth and the change instantly. There are not a lot of, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm gonna live like this forever during those 90 days of you building a habit. You have to focus on the long-term goal, the long-term effect, the long-term results that you are gonna get before you've even seen, felt, or heard those success stories. It won't feel like success during this period of time. It will feel tough. Your brain will do so many different backflips for you to not change that it will become so difficult in week 2, in week 8, in week 12. Like, you will go through so many different versions of yourself that will say, I don't want to do this, or we can take a day off. We've been doing it for 70 days. We can take the weekend off. My friend's wedding, we can take a week off. Like, there are so many ways your brain will convince you that you can take time off, because it knows that you are not feeling safe in who you are building new habits. And that is one thing I want you to understand, that you won't until you've achieved those 90 days and you've built that habit within your body and your mind. I want you to focus on that end goal. I want you to focus on that end day of, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't care what happens. I don't care what I think. I don't care what I say to myself. I don't care what other people think. I'm gonna do this for 90 days and I'm gonna prove to myself that I can build a new habit and become successful by doing so in these 90 days. You will also need to build boundaries around your 90 days if you have a lot of people who disagree with you, or who don't necessarily want the best for you, or don't necessarily want you to change. It is harder when you think of long-term goals. Successful people think about the effects of today on their long-term goal all the time. It's something that differentiates unsuccessful people to success. We all want to be successful today. We all want to win the lottery today. But in reality, you can grow your money long term, and that takes time. You have to focus on what builds your money, what builds your success, what builds your happiness, and do that instead. Focus on the habits that you're building as opposed to the instant gratification. Delaying gratification is one of the hardest ways, because you haven't seen your success yet. You haven't felt proud of yourself yet. So I want you to find daily ways of building gratitude in. It's why gratitude is so important for the work that you're doing. If you want to become any form of success, you will have to build habits that make you see positively along with the habit that you're building to become a successful content creator or fitness person or mum, whatever it is. You have to understand that the end goal is greater than your today needs. And it's hard, it's tough, but it is one of the ways that you can help yourself stay consistent, is by building an understanding that your gratification will come later on and it won't happen today. You have to see the long-term benefits of your actions today so that you can figure out how to build all of that success and all of that wealth and all of that happiness later on down the line. I want to talk about the fear of success. It's something that I massively struggle with as well. But the fear of success is if you do change and people don't like it, I will have failed. And what I want you to flip that into is every single failure is a learning curve. People fear success because it brings about so much change. People fear success because it means that they have to become differently and they don't know how the people that they love, the people around them will react. They don't know how they will react to success. And it's really difficult to show you how you'll react if that hasn't happened yet. But what I can teach you as a mindset coach and what I encourage you to think about is valuing every single failure. We all fail. There isn't a successful person out there that hasn't failed, that hasn't massively dropped the ball and had to start from scratch. And when I say scratch, I don't mean from the beginning, but like start the project over again. The more successful you become, the more people will want things from you, absolutely. But what I want you to understand is that you will build an understanding and a method to deal with people's expectations along the way. If that is what you want, that is what you will build. It's really difficult to understand it in the beginning, but I want you to have that line in your head for every time that you fail or every time somebody wants something from you. Understand that you are more than capable of dealing with it. The first time round will be tricky, the second time round will be confusing, but the third time round, you'll have it in the bag. You'll understand what you're doing because you've done it before. Knowing that people are always going to want things from you when you become successful, that's what owning a business is. That's what becoming the most successful person in your community is. You will have people who want you to show them how you did it. Like if you think about anybody that's become a mum, all of the girls around them, all of their friends around them will ask them, well, how did you do this? What happened when this happened? What did you do when this happened? What did you buy? Where did you buy this from? You always go for help from the person that you know has been through it before. And so when you become that person, you suddenly realize, actually, do I have all of the answers? And I want you to know that you do. I want you to know by building your successful habits, by building your successful patterns, you build at the same time an understanding of what it feels like to fail, what it feels like to fall down, but also what it feels like to get back up again. One of the things that people fear about success is that they will lose all the people around them. And I'm going to tell you, you will lose all the people around you, but in the best way possible. I have had so many people in my life say that I shouldn't be building my business, or I should quit my business, or I should go back to 9-to-5 work because my lifestyle doesn't fit their needs of me. And that is a really tough conversation to have. People want success to look like money. People want success to look like yachts in the Mediterranean. But in reality, your success looks like the way that you want it to. And so if people don't understand how successful you are, or how free you feel, or how happy you feel, or how confident you feel, if they don't understand that as a success level, they won't understand your success, full stop. And of course, we want the people that are closest to us to understand our success, but that's not always going to be the case. And I want you to find people who understand your success. If you want to keep those people around you, it's always going to be a tough relationship. It's always going to have that moment of, I'm doing this for me, this is my success. You may build your success in a different way, but this is my success. And you have to take full ownership of it as well. You have to understand that this is you showing up as yourself, as your truest self, and not everybody's going to understand that. I can't tell you how many friends I've lost building my business because they don't understand what building a business is like. And it's that simple, like that's the baseline of it. They don't understand me anymore because I'm a completely different person, because I've built new habits that hone in on my skills and my talent, and I have to learn differently. I can't always hang out. I can't watch all the TV shows that they watch because I'm reading, I'm honing in my skills, I'm practicing, I'm editing, I'm coaching. There are so many things that I'm doing differently to what my lifestyle used to be like when I was working in 9-to-5, and I no longer have those people around me. The flip side of that is I've made so many friends from showing up as my truest self, as building my business, as coaching people, as people around me have started to build their businesses. My cousin's friend wanted to build a business. She was like, can I have a quick chat with you? I was like, absolutely. We became better friends because of it. Like I was saying earlier on in the car last night, when on the way back from our glass blowing class, that my friend was talking about, well, I don't really necessarily want to be working my 9 to 5 anymore, like what do I have to do? And I'm happy to give those answers because I've been through those struggles and I know how hard it can be. So I'm happy in that place of somebody that they can go to after the fact that I've built my business. So it's up to you to understand that not everybody around you will be the happiest version that you need them to be. Not everybody will be your cheerleader, and sometimes you'll have to show up and become your own cheerleader. And everybody has to go through this when they become successful. It's the change that you need to go through. You go through your own mental and personal changes, but the life around you that you live and the people that you have around you will also change. Your belief system is the driving force of your success. So if you don't feel successful currently, it's because of what you believe of your life, of your world, and of yourself. It's that simple. Mindset is about changing people's belief systems to fit their future self. And if you don't understand what you currently believe in that is holding you back, you need to take a deeper look at your own belief system. If you currently believe that you can only be successful after you've worked 10 years at a company, I want you to know and find and read other success stories where people have made a success out of business over 3 years. If you think about Grace Beverly, I think she built her business Tala in 3 years and it's a huge success. But it's not what they did that started this whole trajectory. It's about believing that you can. And I know so many people look at their life and think, I can't change it, or I can't be that person that has a successful business. Nobody fully believes that they can't. Nobody fully believes that they can. You have to test and push your boundaries along the way. But the biggest change and the biggest shift is understanding that you can cope with whatever's coming to you in order to be successful, in order for you to be capable of change. Because if you don't believe that you can change, and if you don't believe that you can grow, you have to know that that belief is what's holding you back, is what's stopping you from changing your life, is what's stopping you from learning a new skill or asking new people for support or building a community that is of supportive people and not negative people that are bringing you down and keeping you exactly the same. It's almost like, I don't know if you saw before the wave of people that were using the lucky girl syndrome, which is basically where people believed that they could in order to do. They didn't know that they could, they didn't have the things that they could, but they constantly told themselves, I can, I can, I can. I'm super lucky, this will work out for me. This is going to happen because I want it to happen. Everything happens for me and not to me. Everything happens to me for a reason. All of these affirmations sound insane when you say them out loud, or sound crazy when you first hear them. But the more that you tell yourself that you can, the more your brain will think that you can. I know that sounds backwards because you think before you speak, but like, it's because you're constantly repeating a pattern of behavior that builds a belief system. So if you believe that you're going to be lucky, if you can see yourself being lucky, or if you think everything around you happens to you because you're super lucky, you will draw in that energy of more possibility, of building success, because you know that you can change, you know that you can become a different person who is more successful than you. I think there are so many different examples of this. One of the most famous ones that I know of is Jim Carrey, and he wrote a check for, I think it was £1 million check, I can't remember, but he wrote a check to himself and said, one day I'm going to be able to cash this in for myself, one day I'm going to be this successful and I'm going to have £1 million in my bank account. And he worked his butt off until he could achieve that, and he did, more than so. It's about having the belief system that you can be successful before you're successful, and it's what helps gain that momentum into your success. Because if you fully believe that you can be successful, if you fully believe that there's something in you to become the success that you want to see, there are so many different ways to do that. You just have to see the opportunities that will help you become successful. There are people who fail along the way. There are people who try and don't succeed and never try again. There are people who start something and it becomes really difficult, or it becomes too tough to go back to, and that's it, they leave it there. And that's fine for some people. But if you are genuinely thinking that you want to build success in your life, or you genuinely want to see success in your life, I want you to reframe failure as a learning curve for yourself. I want you to understand that failure is going to happen. and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be scary, and it's going to be sad, and it's going to be frustrating. But getting through those successes are what builds the habits and the thought processes that you need to become successful. You start your business, you fail, you start it again, you fail, or it doesn't work, it doesn't feel great, you try something different and you build more success. And life generally keeps going like that. When you build any business or when you try something new, there will always be days where you just feel awful, where you feel like you're a complete failure. But on the flip side of that, there will be days where you are so successful and you've learned so much, and you're using all of these key skills that you've learned along the way to help momentum push you forward. And it's understanding that a failure isn't necessarily the end. A failure is simply a lack of knowledge and experience. That's all it is. And if you understand that failure is a lack of knowledge and experience, you know that all you need to do to push past this failure is to build your knowledge and to build your experience. Those are the things that you need to build on. Defining something as a failure is only you having a belief system around failure is the end. And we want to shift into failure is a deficit of learning and experience. And I want you to start believing this for yourself. I want you to build that belief system of anything that bad that happens to you, whether it's in your success journey or whether it's in life in general. If you fail at something or if you mess up something, I want you to know that that is a moment where you need to learn what happened and understand something a bit differently or look at it differently. I don't want you to stop, and I don't want you to put your success on pause because it feels rubbish, it feels low. I want you to see it as a place where you need to grow and learn. And finally, I want you to help you build a resilient mindset when it comes to your success. There are so many setbacks, or there are points in your life where it's going to be really, really hard. But I want you to know and understand from my personal experience, from my client's personal experience and things that I've helped them through, that any setback, any failure, any tough moment is temporary. Your dreams and goals will always be there. You can push past those temporary moments into fully successful, happy, joyous times in your life. Just like joy doesn't stick around forever, neither does pain or unhappiness. You have to understand that there's a flow to all of your feelings, and you won't always feel like a complete failure. You will feel happy and successful. You will feel midway and a bit meh, and you'll still have to go through everyday life. You will feel so happy beyond your wildest dreams and so proud of yourself, but you will wake up the next day and think, okay, now what do I do? It happens to everybody, but I want you to have that bounce back of, this isn't permanent, this is temporary, and I get to change it. Some of your failures will be your fault, and some of your failures will be other people's fault. I don't want you to blame yourself or other people for your failures. Understanding that things that happen or mess ups that happen are not anybody's fault, and there's always, and I mean always, a solution to your problems. You just have to look at things differently. You have to ask somebody a different question. You have to figure it out and think about it for longer than you expected. But there is always, to every single problem, a solution. And once you figure out that understanding, you will realize that you're not looking at things right, or you're not looking at things in enough detail, or you're not thinking about things for long enough. I remember I used to work with a sales executive, and her thing would always be, never come to me with problems, only come to me after you fix the problem, because she didn't have time for the wishy-washy in the middle confusion era. Like, she didn't have physical time to deal with it, and especially when it came from somebody that wasn't in sales, which made a lot of people cry. But at the end of the day, she had that belief system of every single problem has a solution, and you haven't found it yet, and it's up to you to figure it out, because I'm not going to fix all of your problems for you. That's your job. But as a mindset coach, it is my job to help you figure out both the problems and the solutions. So I could never see myself saying that to somebody. But I want you to know and have that fundamental belief that there is a solution to whatever you're going through, and knowing that will help you see your problems a little bit differently. And all failures, all problems, all meh situations have something that you can learn from them. There is a moment of learning and a growth in every single part of it. Whether it's a positive moment or whether it's a negative moment, there is always something you can learn from it. I remember thinking when I was still growing my business, when I was still at the beginning of my business, being really apprehensive going to big family events, because I was like, I have quit my 9 to 5, like my really successful job. I still not making a lot of money, and I feel like I've taken 10 steps back in my life. And when I went to these family events, everybody was so proud of me. Everybody was always talking about the content that I'd made and how it made them feel and what I was talking about. They were so invested. Even though I didn't feel like a success, everybody didn't treat me like a failure. They treated me like something new and exciting to talk about, like a new way of thinking and a new way of living. And everybody always talks about my business to this day. 8 years later, they still talk to me about what content I put out. They talk to me about how they can do the same changes that I'm talking about, how I can help them grow and become a better version of themselves. Changing the people around you is something that all mindset coaches want to do, and that feels like the proudest moment. But I want you to understand, along the way there will always be those moments of real joy, and even in those moments that you have a lesson, because I learned that everybody's always watching my content, whether they're commenting, whether they're liking, whether they're showing it to other people, they're always watching. And so I have to show up as that person who has that knowledge that can change people's lives, that can really help people discover who they are and build a better version of themselves. I have to show up as that person because I have those skills and I love mindset coaching. That is what I want to do with my life, and it is my biggest passion. So I want to encourage you to keep going and building, but I want you to know what you're building first. I want you to understand what habits you need and what belief systems are holding you back before you get started and before you get completely stuck. But from this video, I want you to know that success isn't inherited. You grow success from building your skills and your talents and your knowledge. I want you to know that success is a path, it's not an end point. You are constantly growing and learning and failing and succeeding all the time. When you're building a business, when you're becoming healthier and fitter, when you're becoming a new mom, whatever your goals are, you become a different version of yourself, the better your habits that you build are. And I want you to know that if you want to take control of your success, start applying these mindset tips that I've discussed for all of the shifts that you need to become successful in your future. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button too, so that I know that you're interested in these videos and I can help you learn how to become a successful version of yourself. I hope this has helped. If you've got any questions, please put them below, and I will see you next week.